all of my friends, we would me and my roommates would share like a Viagra prescription. It was said between guys, oh yeah, we're just doing this to party, right? We're doing it because we're doing coke, we're drinking or something like that. But I know for myself, and this is almost 10 years now. I've talked to a lot of these guys I used to party with. For them too, it was actually the real reason was that they were afraid that they wouldn't get it up if they went home with someone. Like that was the actual reason.
Yeah.
But we didn't admit that to each other.
And then yeah, thanks for saying that, because I wondered about it. And the other thought I had was, I know, for example, when you're taking something that's making your body do something that your body should already do naturally, if you do it for too long, it takes away your body's ability to do it.
Totally. I mean, that's the whole thing with taking steroids or antidepressants or anything. And that was what happened to me, because I probably had what was it happened a bunch of times in a row, but if I didn't take Viagra, I probably would have eventually got it back. But since I was panicking, I started taking Viagra. I became dependent on it for a year. By the end of the year, I could not feel anything down there. Even if I took the Viagra and I got an erection, I still couldn't feel anything. So that's the terror. That's the reason why I'm so up in arms about this thing. It's not that one pill of Viagra is going to ruin your life, but it's creating a dependency and robbing people of their natural abilities.
Right.
Robbing men, younger men in particular.
Yes. I think that's really the piece. And so now let's also, you may have more that comes out here, but now let's also broach the subject of, coupled with, not being able to feel anything, needing to be dependent on a pill that creates an erection, feeling self-doubt, feeling bullied, humiliated, not successful in dating, and couple that with Me Too.
Yeah. I want to add, I think the reason why this is such an epidemic with younger men, like let's say guys born after 1985, is that for that generation, millennials and Generation Z, they grew up with internet porn, or they went through puberty with free internet porn at their fingertips, and they grew up in a society heavily influenced by second wave feminism, which relates to Me Too. Not that it's all bad, but there's certain elements of man shaming. And when you're going through puberty, one, you feel shame around your natural instincts, whether it's for sex or to compete or do anything traditionally male. And on top of that, you have this easy outlet for all of your sexual, fantasies that don't involve real people. It kind of morphs your brain in a way that's not healthy, and it's totally new in human history.
Yes, totally new. Before that, people had, when I was growing up, people had National Geographic.
Yeah.
There were pictures of natives somewhere in the world who had bare breasts. That was it.
Yeah.
Then there was Playboy, Penthouse, and Hustler, and who knows what else. But magazines, real magazines that had airbrushed, beautiful bodies in it, and there were some sex acts in there. And then there was pornography that you could buy, but you had to be 18, and you had to go to a store and be, face the fact that you might know someone in there, and that was scary. Right. And then all of a sudden, sex became streaming at you on the same very thing that the rest of the world came to you on, like the computer.
Yeah. And you have to think for an 11, 12-year-old kid, everything he can possibly imagine, everything beyond his imagination is available at the click of a button. So he doesn't even get to develop his own sexual imagination, which is a shame on another level. But it wires kids in a weird way. And then when you're afraid to express your instincts in society because you think that, asking a woman out means you're a predator, or feeling attraction to someone means you're a bad person or something, why would you do anything but jerk off to porn? And it just creates this public asexuality, I think, in guys, which is why I think there's more anxiety, more problems in general.
It's really, it's very complex. It's got so many aspects to it. Two things. One is I knew an 11-year-old who maybe, I don't know if he was 9, and maybe he was 9 at the time. A 15-year-old showed him porn. And this was like a brilliant kid, very articulate, very cute, attractive, whatever. And I remember when I saw him with his mother, and he was so quiet and so withdrawn. And I said, "What happened to him?" And she said, "I don't know, but he says that he didn't really look." And I said, "Oh, I know exactly what happened to him. Somebody showed him porn." So, they had a session with me. They came to my house.
Wow.
And to my office, and I had a session with him, and I said, "What happened to you?" He said, "I didn't mean to look at it. This other boy showed it to me, an older boy. And I didn't know, it scared me." And he was exposed to porn, and he didn't have, at 9, he didn't have receptors to know where to file that. I don't imagine that you do at 11 either, but you've heard the word. So that was one thing. I had to deal with both boys, both mothers, whatever, get the kid back, because he was gone. It was like that happened, and it was like a trauma.
Huh.
And then there's a woman who does a TED Talk. I should know her name. I don't know her name, but she's an older woman. She's my contemporary. She's probably 70 or something, older 60s or 70. And she does a TED Talk where she says in front of the audience, she says, "If you're squeamish about sexuality, cover your ears now. I'll tell you when you can, take your hands away." And then she says, "I work with younger men. I have sex with them." She said they're in their 20s. "I actually teach them how to have sex with a woman. And I say, 'No, you may not come on my face.'" And then she says to people, "Okay, you can take your..."
I met her. I interviewed her recently, or not.
Oh, really? What's her name?
Cindy Gallup.
Cindy Gallup. Oh, I saw that, and I just was like, oh my goodness. Because younger men, that's what they see. I mean, porn is like the cum shot at the end is like, ejaculate on some woman's face. And I don't know any woman that likes that. I've never met a woman that said to me, my favorite sex act. I've been in the sex business for 22 years. I've never met a woman who said to me, my favorite thing is if he comes on my face.
Well, I'll tell you what's really interesting is that when I sleep with younger women, some women don't even, it's almost like they ask for it or expect it, because every single guy they've ever slept with up to that point they've all watched porn, so that's just the type of sex they understand. It kind of blew my mind, but to have a woman ask me to come on her in that way, or I think so many people, women too, are so influenced by porn that they think that's the only way to have sex.
Oh, well, you and I have news for them. Yeah. There's other things. There's other ways. There's much sweeter, more intimate things than that, and then objectifying someone that way, and I'm not, objectification could be fun in a context of a scene, of something that you plan and script to be a certain naughty way. But to have your normal sex life be bizarre is really bizarre,
Yeah.
Wow. Well, okay. So we covered shaming. Look, Me Too needed to happen, is necessary. People need to be speaking out. But publicly shaming men all the time, distrusting men, projecting fear and loathing onto men. Men are one half of the population. As far as I'm concerned, women and men need each other. Not only to produce offspring, but we need each other. We inhabit this planet together, and shaming a whole segment, like a whole group, a whole gender it's not right. It isn't right. And we should take people to task who have committed horrible things, but just because you're in a male body doesn't mean you're horrible. Doesn't mean you've committed bad things. Doesn't mean any of that. So it's like we have to pull ourselves back from that and take situations case by case.
Totally. Yeah. I don't know if you thought about the Gillette commercial, but I was just like, this is like another thing, with the wrong understanding of what's going on.
Shallow attempts to shift things or misunderstandings just don't work. that's really not the answer. So I do understand that. And I did glean that from everything I could read.
Yeah.
So you're a younger man and you're helping younger men, but I imagine that you're probably helping some older men too.
Yeah.
And so how is it that you have this 100% success rate at helping men with erectile dysfunction? Like really how do they get to you? And then what do you do with them? And tell us.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different things, but like the overall conceptual piece that I get every guy to understand is that if they're having some issue in the bedroom, it's not just erectile dysfunction. It can be premature ejaculation, any sort of sexual hypertension, anorgasmia. Like they're all the same thing. Like if you're not having a healthy sexual response, despite being physically healthy, then there's some emotional blockage, right? It's like a disconnection from your body or disconnection from your instincts, however you want to put it. So a lot of what we start with is recognizing what the man really feels. And depending on the person, we might focus more on like physical sensations if he's really numbed out, or emotions or desire, because desire is simply your feelings with directions attached. Like, I want to eat a sandwich. Why? Because you're feeling something in your body. I want to go talk to that woman because you're feeling something. So there's not one prescription, although I do have an online course for men to really sensitize themselves to this. But getting in touch with your instincts again will allow this sexual response to reignite, if you will, because it's just part of your feelings. It's part of your instincts.
So you mean instinct? Well, when I hear instinct, I think of the animal body. Like I think of, I consider myself to be lots of different bodies. I'm an emotional body. I'm a spiritual body. I'm a shamanic body. And I'm also an animal body. My animal has instincts, wants, needs, desires. And then I also have sensations.
Yeah.
So, but we're going, when you say instinct, I'm actually trying to get it even more defined.
Yeah, I would say what you said matches for the most part. Like, actually, I sometimes use it as a metaphor. Like, imagine there's an animal inside you, and you've been mistreating it. Like, if a guy, or even when I work with women, like if someone has some sort of disconnect, whether it's with their sexuality or their ability to connect or their creativity, I frame it as like, okay, you have this like thinking human, your prefrontal cortex, and then the rest of your nervous system, your limbic system, your reptilian brain is basically like the same as an animal, right? As an animal's nervous system. And if you have this disconnect, you've probably been mistreating this inner animal. So how can you take the animal out of the cage in a safe way and allow it to stretch out again? Because when your instincts or your inner animal, if you will, is back on and feeling great and in connection with you, that's where you get like the brilliant intuitive hits. That's where you get the flood of sensation and passion. Like going back to men, like across the board, when a guy's having a psychogenic sexual dysfunction, he always also is dealing with anxiety and or apathy. Like you can see it in their demeanor almost. So I can kind of tell sometimes when a guy's having a problem in the bedroom based on how he behaves. Not always. But yeah, I mean, that's what I mean by instincts.
Yeah, that's great. And I mean, it's so important to become back in touch with the fact that, yeah, we're not just talking heads. We're not just cerebral cortexes walking around. We're actually animals, and and that's why we have a body. I always say this. I probably said on the show like 100 times. If we were meant to be other, we would not have had skin. We would have had, like, our wrapper would have been glass, metal, or wood, and we wouldn't be meant to feel anything, but we are meant to feel something. Skin is our largest sensory organ.
Totally.
And it's beautiful, and our bodies are built to bring out the animal. I always feel like I've always said in my classes, like some men I've just said, stand up, show me your animal. And that, I say, roar. And if they can't do it, I can't find in them their, the turn on piece, the piece where there's an attraction. It's like, yeah, even the most brainiac person who's nerdy and whatever needs to connect with that animal.
Yeah, because your thinking mind doesn't feel. It's like a different like you can't, in the same way you can't hear color, like you can't like think your way into passion, you can't think your way into connection. Like that can only be done from the lower centers.
Yeah, it's beautiful. What a great thing that you just said. It's so true.